They released the official version. That's all in.
I worked with most.
Yep, that's me, the guy who just jammed all in. You might be thinking, he's probably got a monster underneath those cards. But you'd be wrong. This is actually the first hand of the night. And this is a stone cold bluff. You might be wondering, why is he bluffing off his entire stack in the very first hand? And does his bluff get through? Well, let's rewind a little bit to the beginning.
I played that hand like a vagina. Not that vaginas. I love vaginas.
My instinct was squeeze.
What shall I bet here on this hand?
Too big.
All in has been called. Approximately some amount of money.
Put me in the blood, dog. Put me in the blood, dog.
That's last night. I feel
Kind of weird deal to play, but it's chill.
Josh is afraid it'll turn him gay.
Oh, turn me.
I didn't hear from you. I could have ran it again.
Drop out of school.
Hello, and welcome back to the Blitzed Bankroll Poker Vlog, episode 4. I have the pleasure of being your lovely host tonight, and I'm excited because we definitely have some hands to go through in this video. For those of you who are new to the channel, this is a private home game where I play against the same group of friends again and again. It leads to a lot of exploitative play and a lot of good shit talk that you wouldn't get from any other table. This is a pretty new channel, so if you want to show some support or like the content, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment about anything that you find interesting in the video. Yeah. Anyway, for the safety of the game, I do have to let you all know that we do not take rake at this home game and we're playing for penny stakes. But for the sake of clarity and efficiency, everything here will be treated as a 1-2 game. We are playing the 7 deuce game and we do double board PLO bomb pots every hour on the hour. And we are playing progressive match the stack, which means that starting buy-in is $200. We can match the stack up to $400, and as the night goes on, that cap will be increased up to $800 match the stack. Anyway, that pretty much covers all the technical jargon. Let's get into it. Tonight's game takes place up your butt and around the corner, and for some reason, I don't remember the exact context, but I decided to buy in short. I think it was because I had a weird amount of cash on me, but regardless, I decided to buy in for $130 instead of the maximum $200. For the first hand of the night, we looked down at ace-9 of the spade variety under the gun, and we raised $12. It folds around to Sko, who makes the call from the cutoff, the button folds, and Renzo in the small blind makes the call. The flop comes 6-4 deuce with 2 diamonds and a spade, and Renzo in the small blind checks. As the pre-flop aggressor, this board is, how do I say it? Pretty donkey balls. We are gonna miss this board a lot. So I make the easy check. Sko in the cutoff, stacks some chips, and throws out $25 into the pot. Now, a lot of people I think would look at this and say, easy fold. You know, we're out of position. It's a pretty strong bet. It's a pretty bad board for us. He could have a lot of sets here. Even 6-5 is doing pretty good against us. However, if you watched my previous videos, you know that Sko and me like to battle a lot. He's very loose, he's very aggressive, and this is an action he would often take just being in position and knowing that this board is bad for me. I start to get some real degenerate evil thoughts in my head. I think a lot of the time, if Sko has a hand here, he's gonna show up with a hand like 6-7, or like 6-8, or like 5-4. He's gonna have a lot of one pair holdings that are not gonna like a lot of bigger cards. I think this bet pushes out all the floats, and the only hands that are generally calling are gonna be overpairs and draws, which means that we actually have more perceived outs than we actually do. If a diamond rolls off or a face card rolls off, we probably could potentially steal this pot. I actually consider check raising right now, but given that there's a whole lot of draws and nothing has gotten there yet, I don't think Sko will ever fold anything like a 6. So I decided to just call, which I think I would do with all my strongest holdings, and if the turn is good, then it will put Sko in a very tough spot. The turn is about as good as it gets without us actually improving. It's the king of diamonds. If I had ace king, I get there. If I have ace queen of diamonds, I get there. If I have any diamond draw, I get there. Pretty much an overall good card for me. There's about $88 in the pot, and I have about 110 in my stack. So I think this is a pretty good time to overbet shove and fold out all those weak one pair holdings. I shove my chips forward and Sko starts talking.
What's I worked with most scoring last time night ever. I played poker.
If I call him a 2,
I just put it
I
on
know he got 8 queens. You could have 2, but that's a good bluff. Like, I got the flush, and you could have an ace of diamonds too. Do you have a pocket there? I'm here to gamble. I call it.
How many times?
Pair too.
The good news is that we knew he was weak, and we were right. He had 7 deuce. The bad news is he makes the call. Come on, dealer. One time. Give it to me. An ace or a 9. Please. Please.
Oh no!
The river is the 7 of spades, bringing Sko's hand from bad to pretty good, and he scoops the pot. Nice hand, Sko. At least it's good vlog content. Not a great start to the night, but there's plenty of time to make back money, so we're not worried. We buy back up to $350, so we have a real stack this time, and we look down at King Jack of clubs. Patrick limps and Sko raises to $12 from middle position. Renzo finds the call on the button, and Marcus makes the fold in the small blind. Definitely could elect for a raise here in the big blind a lot of the times, but this time I just elect to call. Patrick throws in the call as well, and we go 4 ways to a flop out of position, which is 6-2-5 with 2 spades and a heart. We're out of position and literally nothing is going on for us. We don't even have clubs of the backdoor variety going on, so nothing to do but check. The rest of the table checks around, and the turn is a jack of diamonds, which is pretty good. Being out of position and sitting next to Patrick and Sko were very aggressive. I expect one of them to stab at the pot, so I check again. Unfortunately, it checks all the way around again, and the river is a 5 of hearts. I check one more time just to give Pat and Sko an opportunity to bet at the pot, because right now, I don't think they have anything. Patrick takes the bait and bets out for $10, which is 20% of the pot, super tiny. Sko folds, and Renzo goes, sure, and tosses in $10, which means he pretty much has nothing, maybe an ace high. Given the action up until now, I think that my jack will be good most of the time, and $10 is just way too small. So I put in a small raise of $35, trying to get some value out of smaller jacks. I think sometimes even like ace highs would call for this size. Patrick calls, Renzo folds, and I'm pretty sure my hand is good, so I show King Jack, but Patrick turns over King 5 for river trips. And we lose another pot. Thankfully, he didn't re-raise us, because I probably would have called.
Even if it's triple, I know.
Renzo will have 5 chips left, no triple straddle.
This is fair.
A couple of orbits go by, and we are card dead until we pick up Queen 8 of diamonds on the button. There is a straddle on board, and Renzo limps in from the early position. Folds to me, and I raise it up to $17. Joe, who just joined us at the table, is in the small blind. He makes the call. Sko, who is straddling, makes the call, and Renzo makes the call as well. We are going 4 ways to a flop of 3 ace-5 with 2 diamonds and a heart. I would say overall this flop is pretty okay for us. We're going to have a lot of suited hands, but given that we're raising from the button, we raise pretty wide, and that means that we're going to miss a fair amount of times. It checks all the way around to me, and while you probably could make an argument to just check it back, I decided to bet very small here. I down bet to $15, which is less than quarter pot. The main purpose of this bet is to balance out really strong hands that I might have, like ace-king or ace-queen, and instigate a raise from anyone who does have an ace who would like to protect their hand, who is just waiting in the weeds out of position. I only get one taker, which is Sko. He makes the call, and because he didn't raise, I think I can cap his range to, at best, maybe a middling pair or a draw. A bet this small will also allow him to call a lot wider, which means he's going to show up to a lot of turns and rivers that would call the flop but fold to another bet. The turn is a 9 of hearts, which is pretty much a brick, so when he checks to me, I'm going to keep on firing. It's going to be very hard for him to have any strong hands. The best hand he could probably have is a weak ace. So when he checks it over to me again, I fire for $30, and he quickly makes the fold. We finally win a hand. It's not a very big pot, but let's see if we can keep the ball rolling. For this hand, we are in the middle position with King 10 offsuit. There is a straddle on board, and it folds to us. We make it $20 to go from the middle position, and only Patrick on the button calls. We go heads up to a flop that is wet. It is 8, 9, 10 with 2 diamonds. You could probably make an argument to bet this flop and not let Patrick see any free cards, but given how wet and dynamic the board is, I think that pot control is more important than letting Patrick see a free card that he might not even need. We could already be very behind. He could have flopped a straight. So I elect to check. He leads out small for $17. Now, while we do have a pretty decent top pair, my hand definitely is not strong enough to raise. We lose to a decent amount of 2-pair hands here, and even hands that we are ahead of like flush draws or say 7-8 or Jack 10 have pretty decent outs against us. We also definitely can't fold for this price, so I make the easy call. The turn, not great either. It's a 9 of clubs. Now, if he had a hand like Jack 9 suited or 7-9 suited, he is ahead of us. I will say this card is definitely better than seeing a diamond or a, say, Jack, because his range is skewed more towards having one card that connects with the straight, and also it might be like a suited diamond hand or something. All the suited connectors that he could possibly have are likely to probably 3-bet me pre-flop in position from the button. So I'm mostly afraid of seeing a 6, a Jack, or a diamond. That being said, my hand hasn't really gotten any better, so I make the easy check, and he once again bets for $30. Again, for that price, we're getting great odds, so I make the call. The river is a 7 of diamonds, which is not a good card for us. Now the only other 10 that we're beating is Queen 10. We lose to all the flush draws, all the straights. In some rare frequency, he could have been semi-bluffing with pocket 7s, now he's got a boat. So I check, ready to fold if he bets again. When he checks it back, we turn over our King 10, and he turns over King 7. And we are good.
Then I feel like I would have bluffed it.
I would have called.
For the next hand of the night, we wake up with big, slick offsuit in the early position. We follow the standard poker procedures and guidelines book and raise to $15. Joseph in the low jack makes the call, and Patrick 3-bets in the hijack, $45 with about $275 behind. It folds back to me, and I consider raising here, but given our stack sizes, if I were to raise, it pretty much pot commits both of us. Pat doesn't 3-bet that often, so I think in the best case scenario, it's likely he has a pocket pair. Could be doing this with 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, and we're only really ahead of hands like ace jack or ace queen. Pretty much every other hand is a flip. If I were to 4-bet him here, it would be around $150. Half of his range might fold to this, like 9s, 8s, maybe 10s, but everything else is gonna call, which, given the depth of the effective stack, we're pretty much gonna be playing for all of it. So I decide to take the more passive route and just call. Joseph also makes the call, and we go 3 ways to a flop, which is 7-3-6 rainbow. I pretty much check back 100% of my range here, so I check, Joseph checks, and Patrick leads out for $90 into the $137 line. While I doubt this board is beneficial to anyone, it's way more likely that Patrick has an overpair here, so I just end up making the fold. Joseph folds as well, and Patrick shows us pocket jacks, so we were right.
And that's how you play jacks. You play scared. You never risk it with jacks.
Feels bad to lose a pot, but feels pretty good to make the right decision.
Sure, man.
If it's not 30, it's 30. Boom,
30.
pot.
Why you gotta do it right now?
Because this is my
fucking.
come up.
Get back.
It all changes.
All right, for the last hand of the night, we have a double board PLO bomb pot. How do you fan out these cards? There's too many cards. How do you fan out? We have 6, 7, ace, 8 with 2 clubs in the small blind. Top board comes 3, 5, 9 with 2 spades, and bottom board comes 10, queen, ace, all spades. A lot of spades out there, but we do have a double gutter to the nuts on the top board. Not a whole lot going on the bottom. It checks around to Brendan in middle position, who leads out for $15. Sko folds, Josh and Renzo make the call, the button folds, and if this price were bigger, I would definitely fold, but it's less than a quarter pot, and if the board runs good for us on the top, we effectively lock it up. So I make the call, and Patrick makes the call as well. The turn comes, and the top board is the beautiful 6 of diamonds, which gives us the nut straight. Bottom board is the 5 of diamonds, which really doesn't matter to us since we don't have anything except the ace, and given that we're out of position, we once again check. Joe checks, and this time Patrick leads out for $35. I mull over my options. I consider raising here, but I think Patrick has the bottom board pretty locked up, and if I have the top board, that just means we're chopping. Given that Joe still has to act behind me, I just call, hoping he'll call as well, and we can put a little bit of extra money into this pot. Unfortunately, he folds, and the river pairs the top board with a 3 of diamonds, which means we no longer have the nuts. The bottom board is a 6 of hearts, I check, Patrick checks to my surprise, and we actually don't chop. I win the top board with my nuts straight, and me and Patrick chop the bottom board. So I win 3/4 of the pot. Nice. Unfortunately, my camera ran out of battery, so I was not able to record any more hands, but we ended up crawling out of the hole and winning about $115 for the night, which is pretty good. The stakes we play at on the home game are not very big, and neither is my bankroll. But once my bankroll is big enough, I do plan on taking some shots at the actual card rooms, and we will see where I go from there. If you are interested in the specific numbers and want to track my growth, leave a comment below, and I'll put some more details about my bankroll in the next video.
This is a bad flop for John because his range is full of bullshit.